Okay, Shelley, waiting room is in the building and you are good to start when you're ready.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Vanessa, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. We all had some fun technology glitches to to start us off today, so apologies for you waiting in the room a little longer than normal. So really want to thank everybody for joining the workshop today. This is a workshop being done in partnership with the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association and the Canadian Women in Sport. And we're actually developing a series of workshops. This is our third one that we've done, and we're doing 6 in total. We've done one in for the Francophone delegates and participants, and we've done one out kind of based in BC, but really these workshops are for everybody. We just have kind of a regional flavor for each of them. So I'm going to be presenting today on some really fun stuff that I've done with Canadian Women in Sport over the years. And then with me today are some really amazing women that are going to present for you. Valerie Fitzpatrick is from the Immigrant and Refugee Association of PEI, and she's going to be sharing what she's been doing there. And then I have Sally O'Neill and Lily Savaraj from Active Pictou County that are going to be sharing what they've done, some really interesting programs. So we have a really fun day planned. So really the focus of this workshop is to provide information on how to involve women in active living. And we have a special focus on engaging women 55 plus, new moms, newcomer, and Indigenous women. So that is really what I'm going to focus a little bit on, all that information. And then Sally, Valerie, and Lily are going to bring it home with real life experiences. So it's going to be really fun. So before we get started, I really want to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we are currently on. We're from many, many territories today, and we want to recognize the original occupants of the places where we reside and respect Indigenous people's beliefs and connections to the land, especially because those beliefs have been restricted for so long. So my name is Shelley Callaghan. I live in Ottawa, and I would like to acknowledge that I'm presenting from unceded Algonquin territory. Now, we have some really fun apps that we have in this slide where you can go and find out what land you are on. So if anybody knows the Indigenous land that you are joining us from today, I really welcome you to put that into the chat so we can see where everyone is from. So looking at, sports and reconciliation, the 5 calls to action related to sport in the Truth and Reconciliation Report, I really want to bring this forward because it's important that we remember this. We want to share stories of Indigenous athletes, programs, and sports leaders and what we do. We want to celebrate local and national Indigenous sporting events, understand the recent changes and barriers of Physical Activity and Sport Act, find out more about the land where you reside at nativeland.ca, and then review the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action. Indigenous women and girls are underrepresented in sport in this country, and they face multiple barriers to participation at all levels. So it's our intention at Canadian Women in Sport that in addition to these calls to action, we would continue to build on relationships that allow us to better address this gap through our work. I ask you to reflect on the information shared and recognize how these calls to action apply to your involvement in sport and society more broadly. So this is what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to talk a little bit about, the 2 partners that have really put this project together, CPRA and Canadian Women in Sport. We're going to mention a little bit about gender equality, and then I'm going to get into some of the challenges women face to participation, some of the solutions they've come up with as well. Then we're going to hear from our regional partners and really hear some exciting pieces, and then follow that with some next steps. So a little bit about the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. They are the national voice for parks and recreation. They advance the collective interests of their members through leadership and advocacy, policy, and research. They're a national network dedicated to the well-being of people, communities, and the natural and built environments. and they're a contributor of knowledge and opportunities to enhance the growth of the parks and recreation sector. A little bit about Canadian women in sport. So their vision is to aspire to achieve equity for women in society through the power of sport, and dedicated to creating an equitable and inclusive Canadian sport and physical activity system that empowers girls and women as active participants and leaders within and through sport. They focus on systemic change and partner with governments, organizations, leaders to challenge the status quo to advance solutions that result in measurable change. And really the important part I want to emphasize there is we think a lot of women as participants. We're always trying to get women to participate in our programs, but how about getting them into leadership roles? And we're going to hear about leaders and community mobilizers today, and really having women take that on as a leadership is something that will really advance what you want to do in this space. So just a little bit about the project. So in 2018, the Government of Canada announced a target to achieve gender equity in sport at every level by 2035. So the overall goal of this project to increase retention and participation of women and girls in recreation and sport. They've identified a number of different populations, certainly girls aged 9 to 15. Any of us who's worked with girls know that this is a major drop-off point. And so how do we keep them in sport and physical activity? New mothers, women aged 55 plus, and then girls and women with intersecting identities. So, today we're going to be talking about engaging women. And I think that's really important because we often miss this target group. We just figure that women are going to sign up for things and participate in things, but really they need a little bit of a push sometimes. And we need to acknowledge that they've got a lot going on. So we're going to talk about that today. So a little bit of foundational knowledge. So, this slide is really interesting because I think that we focused a lot on equality. So how do we actually make things equal? So, this representation of the bikes is really interesting because you can't say everyone doesn't have a bike in that picture. Everyone has a bike, but can they use it? So there's equality, everyone has it, but it really only fits one person. Whereas when you develop something based on equity, it's that fair access to everyone based on their needs. So you can see that the bike in this picture has been modified so that it fits everyone. And really that's what we want to be doing. We cannot be developing one size fits all programs. We really want to be able to create something, listen to the women that we're programming for, and modify that bike whenever we have to. The other piece is looking at intersectionality. So this is the interconnected nature of social categorizations that apply to an individual creating, getting involved in anything. So not everyone experiences sport and physical activity in the same way. There could be intersecting identities, could be a socioeconomic status, it could be a cultural difference. So we really, really want to be looking at the woman with all different types of intersectionality when we are programming for them to make sure that what we do is appropriate and positive. So what is your role? When you think about gender equity, what kind of things can you do? And it's not just women, it's certainly our male allies that we really, really need in this space as well. But we need to speak up. When something is not fair, something is not equitable, we need to say something. We need to celebrate women and what they do. We need to train and certify. So this is like creating women as leaders. We need training and certification. And I always say, women often don't put their hand up. They don't bring themselves forward. So we have to tell them we think they'll be great and then we'll provide that training and help them get there. We need to do recruitment. We need to invite. I'm going to talk a lot about the power of the invitation today. I really, really feel this is so essential that women that are invited really do say yes a lot. Communicate the opportunities that are out there. educate yourself and others on gender equity. And again, that's a great opportunity to engage your male allies. And then consider doing the gender equity lens training. This is something that Canadian Women in Sport has developed, and you can find that on their website. So a little bit about what we're going to do today. So we really want to understand the challenges adult women face to becoming and staying active for life. We want to understand what motivates them. And then we want to talk about kind of those programs and strategies that will help you in what you do increase participation. So before we get started on who are Canadian women, Crystal, I believe we have our first poll. So this is all about who inspires you. It's always this pregnant pause in these things, right? So we wait the drum roll of what the top answers are going to be. Crystal, Vanessa, we got some results. All right, so your mom and your friends were some of the top ones. And really, the reason for doing this little poll before we get started is it's great before we start talking about women that we're thinking about, you know, who those inspirational role models are. And of course, this was a single choice answer. I'm sure that you could have clicked on many of them because there's some incredible women in your life that that really have inspired, I'm sure, many of you, and continue to inspire you and will inspire you in the future. So who are the Canadian women? So I want to talk a little bit now about who the women are in Canada, a little bit about some statistics, but really I think that it's important to know that it's a very large and diverse population. There's many cultures, many backgrounds, and you know, we're going to be talking about in this presentation really what are some of the unique things that that motivate them to get active and stay active. So here's a little bit, let's see, about what the data tells us. So Canada is not unique internationally, but because of the Second World War, we had a huge baby boom. And you can see through this graph that, you know, it's a boom that's going through kind of the system of demographics. So when we talk about boomers, we all know that this is a large and growing demographic, but ultimately they're aging. They will continue to kind of push through our demographic system. So, you know, where they're sitting right now in their 60s and early 70s is going to just continue to grow. So the number of people that you have in this age group right now, certainly that whole women 55 plus, is going to grow. And then your old population, I don't know how else to say it, it kind of is horrible, but you know, certainly women over 80, women over 90, that's going to be growing more and more because women tend to outlive men as well. So just be cautious that, you know, as you're programming for 55 plus, this is a hugely diverse population. So, you know, the younger women might want to do some things, the older women might want to do things, but you cannot stereotype this group at all, because when I've done my women 55 to plus programming, I get this comment about, you know, what about me? I'm 80. I still like to do things like that. So really, really try to engage them as much as you can. And it's a population that is coming and coming and coming. You know, for Indigenous people across Canada, so 4.9% of the Canadian population self-identify as Indigenous. It is actually the fastest growing population in Canada. It's grown 42.5% between 2006 and 2016. They're also the youngest population. 44% were under the age of 25 compared to, in the population of Canada, 44% were under the age of 25, and 28% of the non-Indigenous population is under 25. So they're almost double in terms of young people. I know that they have a lot more children. Indigenous population. So this is something just to be aware of. You know, when we look at the Indigenous population, we have First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, and just looking at how that that kind of divvies up is First Nations constitute 63% of the Indigenous population, Inuit 4%, and Métis 32%. So female immigration trends. So this is really interesting, just in terms of the number of females that are immigrants in Canada, and you can see that by 2013 we're looking at 27.4% of Canada's female population will be immigrants. Now, we often hear, I know that when we talk about immigration, that there was a big surge of immigration kind of in the early 1900s. And this was primarily through European countries. So there was a lot of European migration, and they say, well, that was the big migration. But look at what the stats tell us. Our immigration is higher now. And I'm sure a number of you will be noticing that in your communities. You know, we have a number of newcomers, and we're going to be talking a lot about newcomers today in the presentations. And this is just invigorating communities. It's so exciting. And it's something to really see as a wonderful opportunity. And you can see it's only going to grow in the future based on the statistics. Now we're going to do another quick poll just to see what everyone thinks is the highest number of women. Which country are they from? So let's see what everyone thinks. And certainly if anybody has any questions as I speak or other presenters speak, don't hesitate to put it in the chat, or you know, you can raise your hand if you want to say anything. So 38% felt it was in India, 15% China, 38% in the Philippines. So the number one, oh, where's my mouse? The number one is actually the Philippines. You can see that in between 2011 and 2016, the number of women coming from the Philippines has actually spiked over India and China, which have traditionally been much higher. If anybody is aware, we have a huge relationship with the Philippines, and certainly a lot of women do come over to help out with children and older populations, and you know, and then they end up being able to stay and live in Canada, and it's a really growing population. So this is just out of interest for everyone, but we actually have seen a huge increases over the last 5 years of the census from Iran and Syria. So we're actually seeing some more women from those countries as well. And I know, Valerie, when I was out in PEI, that is the case. Certainly in Charlottetown, I met a lot of women from those countries. So that's really exciting. So in terms of household types, just to give you an idea, one person, this was from the 2016 census, one person households became the most common type of household for the first time in 2016. And among seniors, 33% of women were living alone compared to 17.5% of men. So this is, you know, interesting for you, knowing that there's a lot of senior women out there that maybe are on their own. So this is a great opportunity for engaging them. From 2011 to 2016, the number of couples living without children rose faster than the number of couples with children. So we're also seeing a lot of people that are not having children. And then the proportion of multi-generational households rose the fastest, actually 37.5% out of all household types. So this is type of living arrangements more common among Indigenous and immigrant populations, which account for that growing share of Canada's population. So that just gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what our households are looking like. And then in terms of the workforce participation of women, so in 2015, 82% of women participate in the labor market. Now this is up from, you know, these are some old stats, but 21.6% in 1950. So not a lot of women were working And then, you know, it was only 65% in 1983. So most women are in the workforce. And then the employment rate amongst children whose youngest child was under the age of 6 grew from 32 to 69%. And then women with children aged 6 to 11 grew from 45 to 78%. So really, there was a lot more. There's a lot more women that have young children at home that are working now compared to in the past. So the whole thing about childcare and having those flexible hours to allow for that is really, really important. Oh, whoops, darn. Another poll. sorry, Crystal, one last poll. So what do you think is the most popular activity for women 18 and older? Yep, I've got to answer too. Right. All right, well, you got it. Walking is hands down the most popular activity for women. And if you ask women why they walk, it's accessible, it's free, it's something that everyone usually is able to do without having to get as organized. But look, gardening and yard work is next, because again, that's something that people are able to access usually. But what's interesting is social dancing is next. And when I did focus groups across the country, women said this is what they do, but if they had the choice, they would dance. So we hear a lot about women wanting to dance. So anyway, this is just some interesting statistics. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges to participation that women face. So I want to draw your attention to this this interesting graphic, and I think this really sums up a woman's life. We go throughout our life going on and off the physical activity road. You know, it could be that you have a baby and you need to, care for children. So you're not able to do what you want. Then you get really busy with work. Maybe you're ending up caring for your parents as you're getting older, and they're getting older. Maybe you have an injury or you've done something and you just got to get off for that reason. Our role really in physical activity and sport is to get people back on that road. So how are we going to get them on that road, knowing that every single woman will get off it at some point for whatever reason, and they need to feel confident, they need to feel like they have a home, that if they're not able to do whatever because of an injury or something that's happened, how can we modify it to get them back on that road? So really, this is a great example of how women kind of go through life and the challenges we have to get them back on track. So then looking at some of the challenges that women face to becoming and staying active. So we're going to go through these just as a few things that we found over the years with focus groups and pilot projects that I've had the pleasure of being able to work on. So challenges women face to participation tend to be in the physical realm, so what physically is going to challenge you, the emotional realm, social, and societal. So some of the physical challenges that women face, certainly health can be a major factor. That could be an injury, that could be something that's happened to you, that maybe it's something that, high blood pressure or things that you're dealing with. I know that for me right now, it's menopause. I'm so freaking hot. Every time I do anything, I got to be thinking about how many changes of clothes I have to bring. So, these are some of the things that women kind of can face. Access can be a physical challenge. If something isn't nearby, they're not going to do it. Not having the skill. Women maybe weren't taught things. They weren't taught to throw or to jump or to a number of things that are needed in order to play something. So, that's something that they just don't do it. because first of all, you don't want to be embarrassed and ask. And skill building tends to be something that happens with kids. So how can we make sure it happens with adults? You know, the programming, you know, timing, women 55 plus tell me all the time, why are all the stuff for seniors or older adults in the day? I don't have time for that. I'm working, or I'm minding kids, or I'm doing things like that. So programming can be a challenge. Transportation, and, you know, weather. We hear as many complaints about summer, it's too hot, and winter, it's too cold. So, or it's too buggy, or it's too something. So weather can be an ongoing challenge for sure. So some of the emotional challenges. So women really do feel guilty sometimes for doing things for themselves, you know, like, oh, well, I shouldn't do that. I should really be, you know, going out and doing something for the kids, or I should be going over and helping my mom with something. Or, you know, guilt plays a really big factor with women. So that is an emotional challenge. Having those competing priorities, women always tell us that they feel like they're pulled in every single direction. So that can be a big problem. Having the confidence to ask questions. You know, when I talk to women in some of the focus groups, they said, you know, I'm a counselor. I've made major decisions, but I don't know how to ask somebody to show me how to do Zumba without hurting my knee, because I'm too embarrassed. I don't have the confidence to ask. So, you know, that can be a challenge that women face. And then the transitions, you know, there's a number of different kind of life changes and loss that happens in a woman's life. So you might have a friend that you do something with and she moves away, and then suddenly you don't want to go anymore. So, you know, how do you re-engage those women? Or maybe it's some kind of transition where you know, suddenly you're inundated with things and you don't know how to get out yourself. So, you know, constantly, just like that, on ramps and off ramps, women are going through those kind of transitions. So we need to realize that if somebody isn't showing up, maybe there's something going on. And, you know, that can be an emotional challenge that, you know, physically they could be there. It's not that they can't participate, but mentally they are not able to at that time. So re-engaging all the time is important. Some of those social challenges, you know, like having buddies. This has been one of the number one things that women said, if I had someone to do something with, you know, this would be something that I'd be there in a heartbeat. You know, women that talk about meeting their friend at 6 a.m. for a walk. It's like, if that friend wasn't waiting for me, there's no way in heck I'd be going there. I'd be hitting the snooze button. So, you know, having the buddies and creating opportunities within your programs to grow those networks is really, really important. Having the support of, you know, home, work, partner, family to be able to do things, so that people are like, that's okay, I got the kids. You know, you can go today and do something. Make sure you go to your softball game or whatever it is. And then inclusion. So know that when women, especially women that have not participated in the past, make that effort to walk through those doors, you want to make sure they feel included, that the environments are very welcoming, that you say hi. And the one thing that I talk about all the time is cliques. So we think about cliques when we're teenagers, you know, the girls over there that don't like the girls over here. Well, cliques happen throughout our entire lives. And, you know, I used to laugh at this yoga program, that one of the pilot projects I was working with a group of women that came all the time to this yoga class. And this new woman came and they go, don't put your mat there. That's where Sally's mat is. You go over there. And it's like, how welcoming do you feel that is? Like, it's not very welcoming. So I always say, if you've got your regulars, the women that are always kind of there, give them a job and make them part of the welcoming committee, so that anyone new, actually, they know that they're going to go and put their arm around them instead of pushing them over into the corner. So, you know that this is happening, and women really need to feel included. And this is one of the main reasons that women like to participate in programs of physical activity. They often want to reconnect to different people. They want to get away from whatever is going on in that competing priority household. So, you know, being included is going to keep them there and keep them coming back. Societal challenges. So body image is an issue for women at every single age, forever and ever and ever, amen. So, you know, we talk about doing things in rooms without mirrors. women women have said, oh my goodness, you know, I don't want to see myself participate. And if you've got rooms with mirrors, because many of you do, you know, getting some curtains and putting up some plants and just having some way to distract. But you know, women say that they won't even come to the gym until they lose some weight because they don't want to, you know, feel uncomfortable in wearing their gym gear or whatever. There was a really neat project that was up in Thunder Bay, and they had limited access to bathing suits. And they were actually finding that women were not swimming because they didn't have suits or they didn't feel uncomfortable with their suits. So they actually bought a whole bunch of the same one-piece bathing suit. So everybody wore the same one-piece bathing suit. And so then it was almost like a uniform. You were wearing this, you know, plain bathing suit and you're in the pool. And they saw their membership increase incredibly, of all sizes of women, of all ages of women, because it's hard to believe a bathing suit could have that much of an impact, but it can, you know, because body image is a really, really big issue. Gender roles and stereotypes is another one, especially when you're looking at newcomers that have maybe never participated in sport and physical activity. This isn't something women do, but that happens right across the board. Certainly with anybody who hasn't been exposed to it, we're going to hear about, you know, going out in the trails and building things and, you know, all kinds of fun programs today that really a lot of women might go, well, that's not what I do. That's not what women do. Whereas, you know, you got to break those stereotypes and just give it a try. And then certainly culture can be a societal challenge. So it's important to have awareness of different, you know, adaptations for different cultures. You know, for instance, there's a lot of rules, and I'm going to use the pool again, where you have to wear a bathing suit, whereas certain cultures need to cover up completely, or they need to be women's only in order to go swimming. So how do you make those adaptations? You know, I've had lots of conversations with people worrying about the filters because people are going to be wearing long sleeves and pants, and it's like, well, then how do we work around that? How do we find a way that we can really include everybody? Food is another big one. You know, I myself am a vegetarian, and so often have nothing to eat when I come to events, but really ensuring that you're having something and even inviting maybe some women from different cultures to make the food, so that and pay them for that. You're going to be going to Tim Hortons and dropping $50-100 anyway. So how can you do that and really engage everybody? So some of the unique challenges for women 55 plus. So this is getting into some of the specifics for the different target audiences. So ageism is really a big thing for this group, and that's stereotyping and discriminating based on age. And we talked a little bit about this earlier, that, you know, women said to me, why when I became this age did everyone think I did mall walking and aquafit? You know, like, I used to play basketball. Why can't you just, you know, modify the courts and lower the baskets and have me play basketball again? You know, like, so ensuring that you're not thinking about anything related to age. Always talk to the women about what they'd like to do, instead of assuming. Health is a big one at this age. Obviously, we're all slowly falling apart a little bit, but you can count on, at this age, a lot of women will have high blood pressure and a lot will have arthritis. So if you have program staff that are working with this age group, those are two things to just know how to make adaptations for. And then wording. Oh my goodness. Women in this age have told us that they hate to be called seniors unless there's a discount. If there's a discount, bring it on. But if there's, you know, being called older adults, being called seniors, they really do struggle with this. So the best way to get around that is to have a group of women of this age, if you're developing a program, get together and come up with the name. You know, it could be Fabulous Over 50s, it could be Move or Rust. You know, I've heard of Broads in a Boat for the Dragon Boat team. Like, they're going to come up with something fun, and then in your description you can say who it's aimed at. But be careful with your wording and your titles, because it really does push a lot of, especially the younger senior population, away. So new mothers, obviously childcare is a really big issue. So, you know, you've got a bit of a catch-22 here, because a lot of women, new mothers, say that they want to do things with babies. So there's some great programs that you can do with their babies, with their children. You know, there could be multiple ages of children. So maybe mom is with baby doing a program. There's something happens simultaneously where the younger kids could be doing something else. So the whole family can come. Providing childcare options is always great too. A lot of women have said that they just need a room so that the mothers take turns minding the kids, and the kids have something to play with over there. So you can get really creative. But know, if you want to have new moms, you're going to have to do something around childcare. Now, the flip side is new mothers have said, I'd love a break. You know, if there's a way that childcare can happen and I can just do something for myself, that's another great option too. So really looking at how you can do that. Partner support is another really important piece here. You know, saying, I'm going to carve out time for you and make sure you have time for you. And new moms really, really need this and really appreciate it. It can be a challenge if they don't have it. It can be a huge motivator if they do. So for Indigenous and newcomer women, culture and language is something that can really be a challenge. The one great thing about physical activity, though, is it doesn't have to have a lot of dialogue. You know, you can be demonstrating a dance, you can be doing something, and even though English might be a barrier, that's okay. Everyone can follow along. So, but ensuring that anything that is going out, that you're looking at different kinds of language pieces. We already talked about cultural ways to make sure that there's adaptations. Childcare, again, I bring it up here, and this is because Indigenous and newcomer families can often be a bit larger. So you can have teenagers right through to babies. We might be, as kind of Canadian women, used to 2 kids, 3 kids, there could be 7 kids. So, you know, how are you going to incorporate the whole family and really have that in mind when you're thinking about childcare? And then the last piece is, you know, depending on, you know, countries and what women, Indigenous women and newcomer women are dealing with, there could be some trauma. So I think that as newcomer or as programmers and people working in parks and recreation, we need to really be thinking about how, if women do come forward to us, how we have other services that we can lead them to ensure that this is a safe place, a welcoming place, and that you are a connected networked organization that can really help with what they might be going through. So some of the solutions. So really, you know, we need to figure out how we create confidence, competence, and motivation for women. So this is physical literacy. We really want to ensure that we are making women physically literate. And again, this changes depending on your age and stage in life. So if you've had an injury, you could have been very physically competent, but now you've got to adapt and you've got to gain confidence with that. And that then motivates you. So this is always, always driving us in terms of that physical literacy loop. So here's some ideas to create competence. So offer those skills trainings and try-its and orientations. You know, focus on those fundamental movement skills, you know, the running, the throwing, the kicking, the striking, the catching. Don't assume women know this. I have watched women have so much fun just learning these fundamental movement skills before they play a game of pickleball or before they actually try something like Nordic pole walking, because it all transfers. And if they didn't learn them, they could really, really use them. Offer a variety of activities. So the one thing that women like is some kind of variety. So if you even did like an 8-week program that had something different happening every week, so that they, you know, were able to gain a whole bunch of skills and actually see what they might be competent in to want to sign up for, is a great way to engage them. Unstructured fun, the more fun you can bring in, the better. And then recruit women as instructors and coaches. And, you know, when I do presentations, people always say, well, where are they? You know, like, I'd get more women instructors if I could. Well, you've got a whole class of women in front of you. Which ones are really great? And why not just ask them? Gee, I think you'd be a really great instructor. Gee, do you think you might be able to coach some new women that are coming in this week? You know, it's unbelievable how much uptake you will get because women love to be asked and they love to be noticed. So ways to create confidence, you know, developing women's only programs, you know, sometimes depending on where you live, it's hard because you want to make sure you run something, but having women's only is really, really important. It's certainly important to different cultures that really are not going to be able to participate with men. But it gives that confidence to women. If you're going to be learning how to play pickleball and you're having the ball whacked at you by someone who, you know, it could be a really strong woman, but it also, you know, is a little bit intimidating sometimes learning things with men. So creating those women's only programs is really important. You know, training leaders to read those medical forms that we all collect, understand health conditions, and adapt activities. As soon as a woman knows, okay, well, I can't do this, but I can do this, then the confidence is going to grow and they're going to ask more questions and they're going to be more engaged. You know, create those welcoming environments that we've talked about. That means, you know, any staff at the front door not on their cell phone all the time. They're actually saying, hey, how you doing, Jenny? It's really great to have you. Is there anything I can help you with today? What are you doing? You know, like it's really important to do that. Develop partnerships to deliver programming. We're going to be talking about partnerships today in the regional workshops. And this is really important because often you say, well, I just can't do that. You know, like I'm only able to offer this, this, and this. Like, yeah, but if you partner, you might be able to offer this, this, and this more. So, you know, that partnering, it doesn't always have to be you, but you can still bring it all together for the women that you're servicing. Explain programs so women know what to expect, including clothing. So, you know, we have a tendency to say, you know, it's going to be aquafit at this time, at this pool, and this is how much. And women are like, well, what do I need to bring? Do I need to bring floaties? Do I need to have water? You know, what's going to happen? You know, the other big one I hear is we're going on a 5-kilometer walk. Women are whispering on my ear, where's the bathroom? Like, is there going to be a bathroom on the way? Like, are we going to be stopping? So women want to have more information so that they really can plan and know what to expect. So include all that. And maybe it's not in your advertisement, but maybe it's in all the follow-up information you send, but really be thorough. And then ask women what they want to make them part of your planning. You know, you don't have to guess. These are grown women that are more than willing to tell you their opinion if you ask for it. So get them in a room, ask them what they want, ask them what time, ask them what day, you know, come up with the name, all those things. Ask women what they want before you plan for them. So quick things on motivations. Food. Can't say enough about food. You put food at anything, you're going to get people. The more diverse food, the more opportunities women have to share their food. Really ensure that food is a part of what you do. Develop a routine. So any kind of ways that you do it every Tuesday at, you know, 9 o'clock, or you do it, you know, 2 times a week, or your fun events are every Saturday, the 3rd Saturday of every month, you know, anything that is a bit of a routine, women will be like, great, I can schedule that in and I won't miss it. Having any kind of goals or rewards. So, you know, we always think about losing weight. You know, why are we getting physically active? I'm going to lose some weight. I have my daughter's wedding coming up, or blah, 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 blah. So, you know, how do we actually change that dialogue? How do we say, you know, it's sleeping better? It's getting a new pair of shoes. It's, you know, it's some other kind of reward or goal that really can be more achievable and actually way more fun than jumping on that scale. Develop family activities. Look for cost savings. Women really love to have discounts, as I mentioned. So a coupon, a 2-for-1 coupon, or bring a friend and you get some kind of, you know, gift card. Women love those kind of things. Having fun is so important. Improving their health. So, you know, having women say, hey, you know, I'm feeling better. My knees don't hurt anymore since I've been in the pool. Things like that. Competitions, events, and challenges, especially about fundraisers that mean something to them. Could be breast cancer, could be something about children and youth. It's really important. And then the power of the invitation. So I can't say enough about this one. The invitation is so important. And women tell us at every age, I don't get a lot of invitations anymore, so I don't tend to turn them down. And when I say invitation, this could be verbal. It could also be something on a nice handwritten card that you send them an invitation to. It makes a difference. Know that you're going to get a lot more hits from those personal invitations than any flyer you could ever send out. So that is it for me. I'm really excited to listen to our regional perspective. So we're going to hear first from Valerie Fitzpatrick, and she's with the Immigrant and Refugee Services Association. And then we're going to hear from Sally and Lily, who are with Active Pictou County. So I'm going to hand it over to them now. Over to you, Valerie.
Thank you. Shelley, I really appreciated your presentation, and you reminded me of a lot of the details that I did not put in my presentation, so I'm glad that you already said them. And I will just mention a couple. So the food, especially having vegetarian food, that suits so many people. Language, childcare, cultural needs, bathrooms, letting people know what they need to wear, what they need to bring, clothing, equipment, that sort of thing, and using immigrant caterers. So those are all things that struck me as things that we do here in Prince Edward Island. And so thank you for mentioning them, because I didn't put any of them in my own presentation, but I completely agree. So I work at Immigrant and Refugee Services Association, PEI, and I've been here for 13 years. So I'm on the community engagement team, and we do a wide variety of things. But today I'm going to talk about the activities that we do for our newcomer clients. So some of our activities are for women only. Often a women's group activity means women and children, but not always, just because recognizing the need for childcare. Not everybody has childcare. So we do offer child minding on site whenever possible. Other activities that we have are for everyone, so men, women, and children. We also try to invite the locals, especially our own volunteers who are already working with us in other programming, to join our newcomer events, because we really feel that this is one of the keys to long-term integration, not to mention the benefit that the volunteer themselves gets out of it from meeting new people from all around the world. So we've been doing this work for a really long time. We've seen what works and what doesn't. And then COVID came along and we had to reinvent the wheel. So for us, COVID meant dropping our large group activities. So we had been doing sort of large seasonal events and other events. And instead we picked up on doing more frequent small group activities and moving everything outdoors. So I'm not sure if the rest of the country knows, but PEI's been pretty safe as far as COVID, but our officials have also taken a very, very cautious approach. So we're feeling safe, but we have a lot of guidelines that we have to follow too. So my work during COVID has largely focused on weekly outdoor small group events, which we call Fresh Air Fun. So we choose a trail, a farm, somewhere scenic, any kind of location of interest. And we offer space to the first 50 people to register through Eventbrite. Eventbrite is a fantastic system if you're creating free or paid tickets. We only create free ones. And then the group goes out, we get exercise, we enjoy the scenery, and we try all kinds of new things. So things that people, maybe haven't tried before. So snowshoeing, sledding, hiking, interacting with animals, which is something that, so a lot of newcomers are coming from big cities. They haven't had a chance to do that. And other times it's just a simple walk on the beach or on a trail. So we really like to show people, the hidden gems of the island, those little spots that the locals know about. And we feel that that kind of gives people pride in where they're living, and the fact that they now know about these places, you know, they have sort of become a local because they have this inside information now. And then they can kind of go and show their friends and family. So it helps with the ownership of the new community. We vary the time of day that we offer activities. So even Fresh Air Fun, the majority takes place during the school day, usually 10 a.m. till noon on a Thursday or Friday morning is typical, but we do, we're always mindful of changing it up as well. Some women have free time when the kids are in school, or they can bring their preschool kids with them. Sometimes it's got to be after school. A lot of our newcomer women are attending, we call it LINC, language instruction for newcomers to Canada. So they're doing almost full-time schooling as well, and they leave school when the kids do. And then also, because Fresh Air Fun is a weekly thing, if there's a PD day, you know, no school that day, then we always try to host Fresh Air Fun on a PD day if there's one that week. It's always good to keep the kids occupied for part of the day at least. Another thing that's really worked for us is whenever possible, we include a community service or a good deed component to Fresh Air Fun. So I would say, you know, typically it's a hike, but sometimes we've incorporated roadside cleanup. And I'm not sure if that's done in other places. The Women's Institute does a roadside cleanup here. So it's basically just going out in the spring and getting in the ditches and picking up all the trash that's there. You'll see in my slide, there's an enthusiastic group of roadside cleaner-uppers there. We've also built garden boxes for one of the seniors' homes. We have gleaned vegetables at an organic farm, and then we donated a portion of what we gleaned to the food bank. So things that have been, you know, people get excited about that, about doing that community service. So, you know, we get out, we walk, we talk, we discuss anything that comes up. You know, people want to talk about the environment, history, wildlife, things like that. But we'll talk about anything that comes up. And so we always find that it's good to have 2 or 3 staff in a group of typically 30 to 40 people. So we can sort of situate ourselves throughout different spots within the group as we're out to engage our clients in conversation. And it just becomes, you know, a really nice organic way to be sort of walking and talking together. We always make sure that we carry first aid kits and extra hats and mittens and any kind of emergency items as well. Being outside, we've definitely found some COVID silver linings, and being forced to be outside all the time has helped, and it's a silver lining because it touches on those aspects of improved mental health, loneliness, integration, networking, mentorship, a feeling of being more connected to the land. And I think for us, because newcomers are our clients, I think it helps people become more connected to their new home, just being not just, you know, this is my house or my apartment or my town, but this is, you know, the land that we're on. And it's also forced us and encouraged us to embrace winter even more. And that's so important because we know about seasonal affective disorder. And even if it's not that severe, there's no sense in dreading a season that's going to come up year after year. You might as well embrace it. So we conducted actually a very large survey recently on PEI to check in with newcomers and their stresses and what was helping them during COVID. And the survey definitely bears out these beliefs that getting out, getting together was very, very important. And on my 4th slide, I've got some nice testimonials there. So in addition to Fresh Air Fun, which is open to everybody, all people, all genders, we also do have activities that are just for women. So about 13 years ago, we started noticing that some of our newcomer women, like the husbands oftentimes were truck drivers, or the man was the one in the family that had a work permit. And that meant that for the wife and the children, they were just given a visitor visa. And so the children, being children, are legally allowed to go to public school. But for the wives, they can't go to school, they can't they can't study, they can't work, they can't even volunteer. So outside of being a mom, and especially if their husband is a truck driver or some other type of job that's taking them away for 5 days at a time, that's one way to go crazy pretty quick, is just to have um, kids with you all the time, and no help, and people felt shy about their language, and no way to really improve it very easily. So we started the women's group, and we decided that we needed to reach these women and just say, we're going to do some stuff. Everybody's trying it for the first time. Just come and have some fun and just do something for yourself. And it's worked out so well. So right now, again, we are sort of limited, although reopening, but then new variants, and so we're sort of playing it fairly cautiously. But we are focusing mostly on exercise and fitness, and allowing time to socialize at those classes for the women's group right now. So we rent a gymnasium at a church near our office downtown, and we have a rotating schedule of classes. So every Tuesday night from 7:30 to 8:30, we have a women's group class. And so we do 6 weeks of Zumba and then 6 weeks of Latin dance. Right now we're in the middle of our yoga series of classes. In January, we'll start back with belly dance. We're kind of open to anything in that realm, and new teachers kind of come to our attention over time. We do try to almost exclusively hire newcomers as our teachers. It's a great way for them to get experience and get paid. And then we cycle through those activities. So we have that gym booked from September until May. The participants love the classes. They're free, but I'll say they're sold out every time. So it just depends on the activity, but the gym's maximum capacity is about 20 to 40 people, just depending on if we need yoga mats and things like that. So if COVID wasn't an issue, then we would still be booking the gym on a weekly basis and doing those same classes, because they are very, very popular. What we would add back once, what we used to do, and once life returns to normal, which I firmly believe it will again, we use the multipurpose room at our office, and we host things like sewing classes, learn to sew, learn to knit, learn to crochet, beginner art classes, a variety of ethnic cooking classes, and seasonal crafts and things. I think it's always nice to do seasonal things, and we do try to have that as an aspect to our Fresh Air Fun as well. Like if the leaves are changing, then we're going to go to the best spot to see the leaves change. Christmas is coming, we're going to the winter wonderlands, things like that. So we also do partner with other groups to offer our events. This summer we partnered with the Legacy Garden, and we were able to give 28 families a garden plot, which they tended and planted and harvested, and it was all theirs. We partner with Parks Canada every summer. This year was our 13th year of Learn to Camp. if they have learned to camp in your area and you're interested in doing it, definitely contact your local Parks Canada. So we have 20 to 25 families. We go out, we camp overnight in the national park, and we have a supported camping experience. So Parks Canada has the tents and the lights and the camp mats and all that sort of stuff, and they even cook for us. We just have to sort of bring our clothes and a positive attitude, and we go out and learn to camp, because camping is outside of the experience of a lot of newcomers, not all. In the Middle East, it's extremely popular. In other places, like in China, it's basically unheard of. So we also, other partners we've got a local group called Winterlove Pei, which is, they started out as a group of volunteers, and they've expanded into being sort of a very small nonprofit. And their whole mandate is just to encourage people in Canada to love winter. And so with our partnership with them, they put on the events, and we just sign up some extra people, and we give them some money to give extra capacity. So it's learn to curl, skate, ski, sled, snowshoe, snowga, which is yoga in the snow, even learn to build snowmen, things like that. So it's really fun. Our newest partner is Bike Friendly Communities. And so we're doing biking events with them, teaching clients how to use the trail system or the biking lane on the street system, so that people can, get to and from where they want to go using bikes, which is a great green initiative, of course. So for us, we usually deal with groups that have heard of us. Like, we've been in the community for almost 30 years, and we have a good reputation. So we have a lot of groups coming to us wanting to partner with us. And so it's basically like, everybody knows that newcomers are a great demographic, and if they can reach newcomers, that's a huge group of people. And so we have to just be careful of, is this a good partner? Is it too business oriented, and just kind of balance staff time and resources against benefits to the clients. And so that's something that we have to deal with, is like too many partners. But if anybody is wondering about, sort of how to make that happen, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And I will close now, and just by saying that I have an amazing job, and I really, really enjoy it.
Oh, Valerie, that was great. Thank you so much, and wonderful to offer to everybody on the call to give your name and number, and if you've got any questions about how to engage.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. And it's so great listening to all the partners that you're working with, and how that's working, as well as the great programs that you're doing. I've had the benefits of coming out to actually see some of these in action, and they're really, really fun. So congratulations, and thanks so much for sharing today. Great. So I'm going to now hand it over to Sally and Lily, who are going to talk about what they're doing in active Pictou County.
Thanks, Shelley. And that was a great presentation from both Shelley and Valerie. Thanks for sharing. And my name is Lily Silverage, and I was the settlement staff with Y-Reach, Pictou County, and I had a great opportunity to partner with Sally O'Neill from Active Pictou County on Welcome Winter project. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the importance of partnerships, and then Sally will continue with about importance of partnership and some personal connections. So the great thing about partnership is filling the gaps. So when I was working as a settlement staff with an organization, we weren't able to, we get funding for particular things, and some areas we wouldn't be able to cover. And Sally, coming in from Active Pictou County, we were able to achieve some of the things that I wouldn't be able to, provide to newcomer population. So some of the examples were renting a facility, like you see, newcomers are learning skating and the children, and transportation is one of the biggest challenges among newcomers. So we were able to, because of the partnership with the Active Pitiakoni, we were able to provide all of that to have successful events in Pictou County. And one other thing I would talk about, benefits of partnerships. We were able to, Sally and I, we were able to provide presentations about like teaching newcomers how to embrace, winter, like Valerie talked about. I am originally from India and I grew up in India. So, coming to Canada and learning about winter, it's it doesn't come overnight. So I had to learn from my friends and from whoever I met in Saskatchewan. I was living in Saskatchewan my first 10 years of living in Canada. So embracing winter, in like extreme winter, how to actually enjoy winter. That was like the main, that was our major, like, key to teach newcomers how to embrace the winter. So we did information sessions on how to actually dress for winter. So again, like, growing up in India or in like, warmer countries, you would usually wear like cotton clothing. So, but here during wintertime, it won't help you. So proper clothing, it's really important. So we had the opportunity to teach newcomers how to dress properly, from head to toe for winter, to enjoy outdoor activities. And then we talk to them about how to shop affordably for winter, like, winter jacket, winter boots, everything could be really expensive, but teaching newcomers, you can go to a thrift store and, and get used like a secondhand winter clothing and, shoes and boots. And it's really important for them to not to spend too much money on something that you're going to spend every winter. So teaching them about that. And like Valerie talked about, how to enjoy even little things like going for a walk at a nearby trail, because as a newcomer, for me, if my friends and like associations, like newcomer associations, if they don't do some particular events like this, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn these things. So like teaching them where the trails are, find a trail nearby your house and go explore, and like and then we arranged walking in the trail event. So just going for a walk, simple things like that, it really helps them a lot. And then some fun winter activities, like learning skating during winter time, how to actually enjoy winter. Coming from warmer countries, people tend to stay inside a lot, and Sally and I, we talked a lot about like how we can get them out of the house, get outdoor, like experiencing outdoor activities and how to enjoy winter. So, and then like, giving them an opportunity to how to actually learn some of the things like, skating, sledding, and some winter activities. So it was really fun. We had most of the population we had was young moms and children. So Sally will talk about how who all came for those events. So yeah, and then it was not just through Welcome Winter project, not just newcomers came, but community people too. So it was a great opportunity for newcomers to meet some new friends, and also fellow newcomers as well. Newcomers helping newcomers. That was a really a big thing for us to make that connection. And if we don't have these partnerships, and if we don't have these events, and they wouldn't have these opportunities. So we had a really great fun times doing this Welcome Winter project. And I'm gonna now hand it over to Sally, and she will continue with her ladies only trail building weekend and Welcome Winter project. She will talk a little bit about that. Over to you, Sally. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily, and Shelley and Valerie as well. So my name is Sally O'Neill, and I'm the coordinator of Active Pictou County, and that is a partnership between municipal governments and the province of Nova Scotia. And so my work is to support population health by increasing access to physical activity as part of daily life. And so making connections like my partnerships with Lily and the Y-Reach program are really important, because that helps me reach a population that otherwise might be more difficult for me to get the chance to work with, because those relationships, I can capitalize on the fact that those relationships are already strong between Lily and her clients. So, and why I feel like the Welcome Winter project, what made it really work was that we included the children. And we've talked about that already in the other presentations. So it makes it easier and more attractive for newcomer women to participate. Newcomer families may not already have a lot of social networks yet to help with childcare. And also I wanted to, so also reducing costs through things like renting out the rinks for free, or doing activities like including, so the walks that we did were actually, we included the English conversation group. So we walked and talked. And we went out on the trail instead of going into the library or into an inside space and sitting and talking. But I also want to bring attention to the fact that Lily herself was a great encourager and example for the other newcomer women, as a newcomer woman herself, who is actively involved in outdoor activity. And she's already an enthusiast, and she's a really great example of modeling that active lifestyle. She goes hiking, she's exploring, she's always sharing pictures on her social media of all the adventures that she's having outdoors in all kinds of weather. And so having a model, a person who's from within that community who could be a champion and a model for that kind of activity was really, really, really valuable. So thank you, Lily, for all you did to encourage, and all you continue to do.
Thanks.
So I wanted also to share with you the chance. I appreciate the chance to share the ladies only trail building weekend. And we always say it's the best girls weekend ever. And it really is. I've been involved with the Ladies Trail Build for 9 years. And it's a signature event of the Pictou County Trails Association of Nova Scotia. And that is a community organization that represents a diversity of trail management volunteer groups in the region. And this event was developed as a way to empower women and girls and give them hands-on learning in trail building and maintenance techniques, and keep that female-only environment. And the woman on the right that you see there is Fran Wyman, and she's one of the founding organizers of Ladies Only, along with Ellen Wilcox and Margie Parker. And Fran is a longtime volunteer board member with the Trails organization, and she's been a major Trails mentor to me. Next slide. So the weekend is provided, this event's provided free of charge, no experience necessary. All the tools and equipment are provided by Pictou County Trails Association, and you see those axes that the women are carrying there. Those are Pulaski axes, and they're specifically for building trail and working at, in that kind of woods environment. So all of those new to trail building have the chance to learn from experienced female trail builders, and the all female nature of it is really important. And there's something really special about being out in nature together, out in the woods together, working hard, on a physically demanding project. And a lot of our participants report that they feel a lot more empowered to try things out and explore and learn new skills because it's that female space. And Shelley touched on that a little bit earlier. And I would say that myself, having been part of mixed gender trail projects, that the dynamic absolutely does change when men are not present, in terms of decision making, and the confidence increases, and it's just like I said before, it's just a really special experience to be out there doing something so empowering in a female only environment. Can we flip this next one? Okay, so yeah, so this is Elaine, and she's one of our Outdoor Council of Canada trainers. She actually trains new hike leaders. She's an absolute powerhouse. So this event, the trail building event is usually the third weekend in October, and it's during the fall colors. And we work all day Saturday, and then we stay overnight, usually at a local cottage or someone's home. That's all free of charge. And the nighttime is a chance to share potluck supper and treats, and of course wine. And there's always there's lots of laughs, and it's like going to camp but for grown-ups. So we have a lot of the women who return year after year, and then also every year we meet new women who try this for the first time and catch the trail building bug. And the following day, after the big group, we have a big group breakfast, and we head back out to finish up any remaining tasks on the work project, and then have a hike. And we always try to experience that new hike of our new trail that we just built together. So it's just, like I say, it's best girls weekend ever. The way we engage people to participate is, again, it's a personal invitation. The invitation's open, it's free. There's no experience necessary. It's really gauged at beginners. It's often, most people invite each other, they invite their friends. It's a safe, empowering environment. And many of the participants that come are invited by somebody who's already going or who's gone before and wants to share that experience with a friend. I have personally invited so many people. And I know it's a work thing, it is part of my work, but it's one of those times when I just can't believe it's my real job to do this. So I love my work. I love things like this. We make it a party with food and a sleepover. And so those extra aspects of welcoming that Shelley talked about earlier, and that personal environment, I think that's really why this works and why it's been. And also selfishly, like, we get a lot more trail volunteers, and so people who have these skills that we can call in for projects. I've got one slide left. So to echo a point that Shelley made earlier, not having someone to go with So having a friend go with you is really, really important has been important in my experience in engaging women of all ages in physical activity. And so in Nova Scotia, it was not having someone to go with was identified as the number 2 highest barrier to participation among low active adults. And that's out of a physical activity survey that was conducted by the provincial government in partnership with the team that I work on provincially. That was in 2018. And so the success of both of these initiatives, I think, is in the personal invitations and in the social framing of the activity. So adding active components to what would otherwise have been like a social gathering, the English conversation group going out on the trail and having a walk and talk, the overnight getaway piece to the trail building workshop. And so you're learning something new, you're alongside friends, you're in a low pressure, highly safe, friendly environment. So we think that the friend factor is that secret ingredient that brings it all together and makes it successful.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thanks so much, Sally and Lily. And I think that all of us can feel that friend factor. We know that when we're in events like that we just want to go back every time. And the more that we can kind of learn to do that, and it's not always up to you, like you said, you have champions, you have other people that you can lean on that really do kind of carry the ball for you, and you can still be behind the scenes and watching it happen, or you can be leading it and making it happen. So really, really, really appreciate all of the presentations today. So thank you so much. I'm just going to quickly share my screen for a couple more slides, and then I'll open it up for questions. So some next steps, just in terms of learning what we've heard of today. So women's only programs work. If you can do it, develop it, and you'll get more women this way. Inviting women to participate. I know that we're hitting you over the head with this one over and over again, but super important. Create environments that are welcoming and fun. Incorporate skill development. So if you have learn to play pickleball program, the first days are instructions and then you play, or the first few minutes are instructions. So don't forget about the skill development. Develop partnerships to deliver programming. So we heard a lot about partnerships today, and really think out of the box and don't be afraid to talk to somebody. The worst thing they can do is say no. So you can have some really great partnerships out there, and then ask women what they want and make them part of your planning. If we're doing things for kids, we often don't have that opportunity. So this is a great opportunity when you're working with women to really, really bring them into the mix, have them part of your programming, and trust me, they're your biggest cheerleaders afterwards. They're going to get their friends, they're going to get their neighbors, they're going to bring people in to make your program really viable and successful. So just a few additional resources, and you'll get this after the workshop. Links to all these things. So there's a number of great resources on Canadian women in sport, as well as webinar recordings through CPRA and Canadian Women in Sport. I also just wanted to highlight, as I was kind of meeting women from Atlantic Canada and pulling this together, I got 2 other really neat programs, the Becoming an Outdoor Woman and the Girls on Boards program. There's a ton of them. Really seek out some of your leaders in your provinces, and you'll find out that there's lots happening out there. So really build that network. So does anyone have any questions for our presenters? You can put them in the chat, or I think you can unmute yourself and speak. So any questions for anyone? Can't see the chat, so. All right, so I'm going to ask a question, Sally, about your trail building, because this woman had a chainsaw in her hand in your photo, and that might be a bit intimidating for me. How do you get using a chainsaw? What kind of training is taken?
So that gal, it does have her certification in chainsaw, and so we don't all get to use the chainsaw. But which would be that would be fun. But but yeah, no, so we would guide her to and we have a couple of, but that's not the only woman in the group who has the certification. So we have a couple of gals who have that that official skill. So and the paperwork and everything. So safe practices are very important.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you don't want to give me a chainsaw. Yikes. So Valerie, when you were talking about all the partners that you've worked with, it sounds like your fresh air fun events and all that stuff are so fun. Which is the one that you like the most? Which one do you like doing the most out of all the partnerships?
Well, it's really hard to say. Like, I guess Learn to Camp with Parks Canada, that's been kind of my baby. Like the year that I started here, that they had come to us saying, we have this program and we think newcomers would be good candidates for it, and they have been. And we've had like our biggest year, I think we had 102 individuals. Wow. Camping. So yeah, Learn to Camp is that's kind of my baby. And we actually go, sometimes it's once a year, sometimes it's twice, sometimes it's 3 times a year that we go out. So, it's that, like, mom has to go camping for work. I try to get my husband, who's not a big camper, but try to get him to come, and my daughter, and she loves it. So that's kind of a big one. We get to go out for the weekend to the national park and camp near the beach, and it's not too bad.
Great. So you get to bring your whole family, and that's great. Awesome. And then Lily, just is thinking about, being a newcomer. What is the one thing that you think, a newcomer that's wanting to engage, what is stopping them? What do you think is the number one barrier why they're not reaching out to be a part of, let's say, a skating program or something like that?
Yeah, I would say definitely not knowing about the events, and also someone not inviting them.
Okay.
If my friends didn't invite me, I wouldn't, I love hiking and, camping and all of that now. If I didn't have those opportunities, like, I wouldn't still know how to,
Right.
camp and hike. So yeah, definitely inviting someone, I think,
Right.
just to, even with my work, working with newcomers, just a simple text, sending a text to newcomers, hey, this is happening, come out, and have some fun with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's that awareness piece, and it's also that reaching out and knowing that you're going to be welcome. So that's great. That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much. So I don't see any questions in the chat. Going once, going twice. Anyone have a burning question they want to ask? All right. Well, then let me just finish up then. So, we want to hear from you. So certainly you're going to be getting an evaluation. We really look forward to your feedback. Really want to thank everyone for participating in the workshop, for everybody, to Canadian Women in Sport and Canadian Parks and Recreation, who are the partners that have put this on in partnership, of course, with the Government of Canada. Please do reach out, visit their websites. There's lots of really, really great information. And then Valerie, Sally, Lily, really loved your presentations, and can't thank you enough for participating today. So thanks again for being part of this party and sharing all of your great experiences with the participants. So thanks everybody.
I would just say also, if anybody does want to be in touch later on, I would be happy to share. I'd be happy to share any information or contact or give any advice.
Great. So maybe when Vanessa sends everything out, she can include everybody's emails. So if anybody wants to follow up directly, they can. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks everybody, and enjoy your holidays coming up and your day. And thanks again for participating today.